y'all. What is up? It's Val for me. Y'all joining me in the car. So I hope the audio is decent enough. I'm going to try to speak up as well. But shout out to everybody. It's Libra season. It's like that booed up and it just don't stop. Okay? It's that cuffing season, as my homeboy likes to call it. And it's a really good time to kind of get into that reflective ideology on decisions that need to be made when it comes to what we are partnering up with, linking up with, who we loving and want to be hugging, honey, okay? Now, we're approaching also the full moon, so I just think it's really, really interesting what might go down. This particular full moon is going to be interesting also just with the timing of it all, because currently we also have the North Node, which is Aries, and the South Node, which is Libra, right? So the South Node already kind of being in Libra season, I think a lot of us have probably reflected on past relationships, on past decisions. Um, Maybe things, from back whenever, that we romanced over, um, that we were maybe attracted to, okay, passionate about. So I think that there is a time for the collective to maybe re-examine that and also reflect on how we go after that, right? What's motivating us? What's not motivating us, right? What blockages we may have, because this is like beginning of the internal hemisphere when it comes to where the moon is in Aries, where the moon will be soon, honey. Okay. Um, Aries represents beginnings because it's the first of the zodiac signs, right? And we got Mars here ready to get the engines going. Okay, let's go. But then we also have Libra, which is kind of what kicks off the beginnings in a different way. It kicks off the beginnings of the fall of the external hemisphere, right? So the internal hemisphere would be our spring and summer internally, right? This is our action, our motivation. Half the time the body's hot, most of the time the body's hot, right? So it represents that warmth. And that's more of an internal aspect of what it is that you want to create, right? What you want to spring into action, what you simmer up in, right? And then we get to a place of externally relating that to the outside environment, right? So these two Mars Venetians coming together, it's about what we individually want to go after, and then the people who we gonna be doing it with, the partnerships that may come about, right? If I want to be an artist, I want to have this particular kind of genre of bands, right? I want this kind of appeal about myself, right? Because I want to hang out with these kind of folks, right? I may decide as an artist to also sign with this particular type of publishing company, right? So the things that we want to go after and partnerships go hand in hand, right? Teamwork really does make your dream work, right? So this is what we kind of get with these vibrations coming together. Now, what I also enjoy about Mars's energy is that it's very much driven, right? And then Venus is very much passionate. Now, I like to say anytime Venus and Mars are in the skies, honey, look out. Because there's a lot of energy when it comes to our passion and our motivation, or the energy that we're putting into something, the drive that we're, being driven to go after the things that we love, right? Um, so yeah, it's a lot with the energy. However, Libra gives us the social grace of being diplomatic, right? Because Mars has so much aggression already that Venus is like the social grace of it by saying, let's decide, right? Let's make a decision. We've got choices to make here. And that's a reminder too that in life there is a balance that you got to seek out, right? It's not just about you when it comes to partnerships anymore, right? And this is kind of where we are in this type of vibration, especially with the North and South Node being in these two powerful aspects of the human mind, right? What I want to do versus the people who I'll be doing it with, right? Also, when you think about the astronomy of it all, Venus and Mars sit in between Earth, right? Oh, sorry, I apologize. Venus and Mars has Earth kind of sandwiched in between. So when it comes to like what we're trying to materialize, I think a lot of times we are motivated, driven energy, and then we're also, well, this is what I love to do, and this is what I need to decide on, right? this kind of helps get the earth spinning towards the accord of what it is that we'll ultimately be experiencing, right? So Venus and Mars, kind of like I said, you need them both. Let's talk about Venus though. All right, since we're in Libra season. Shout out to Venus. Venus is the goddess Aphrodite, right? Also known as AKA. And in this alias, of course, we know the beautiful Aphrodite, right? Well, Aphro, the name, is actually a reference to the sea foam. So it's all the materials from the sea that kind of collect and get beached, right? And the beaches are one of the most beautiful places that you can, some of the most beautiful places you can find on Earth, right? So there's a lot of beauty being represented here. Now let's think about Mars, right? Mars is the god of war, okay? Now, if you look at the etymology too on this word, Mars is a spring Dionysus, right? So this would be the Bacchus, the Dionysus, the Bacchus, or the berry, okay? The berry also means bay, okay? So these are all attributes to the waters, kind of signaling the journey. Jason and the Argonauts type vibes, right? Noah and the Ark type vibes, right? But let's talk about this. When you've been out to sea for a while, I've never taken a cruise. I want to one day. But when you're out to sea, I guess I can imagine it too, where you don't see any land inside. It's like, whew, a lot of water. Thank God for this boat, right? But then you begin to come upon land. So you arrive at the bay first, right? This is what Mars represents in the first house. The next thing that you see once you get from the bay and you get closer inland is the beach, right? The beauty that's going on in this magnificent land, okay? And I'm sure for sailors back in the day who have been on the seas for a long time, or I guess the current sailors of today, right? People who are working those boats on the ocean. Once you see land, it's a thing of beauty. Okay, so this is kind of where our mindset goes, or where the ancient mindset goes on those who help develop some of the studies that we have today. But I do want to go back to Venus just a little bit, since we are in Libra season. Shout out to all the Libras, gang. I got Libra moon. So shout out to y'all special people. We know that Libra is about beauty, right? Now, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Let's take a look at the etymology on Venus. Venus correlates to a word, Veneris. And when I saw this word, I was like, what's this? So you can't find much etymology reference back to Veneris. But if you chop up the word like it's a cognate of multiple words, one thing that stands out to me is the ERES aspect, which similarly represents eyes, right? So Venus, or beauty rather, is really in the eyes of the beholder, right? Because we're on the seas again. So this references back to the waters, the eyes, right? How we see, SEA, and we're seeing like the C shape of our eyes when you put your hands together. You know, you got that binocular effect. Take your hands apart, right? You got C's come together as an oval, all, or overall, right? I see with two C's, okay? Let's go a little bit further with Venus, all right? Venus is also known as the Lucifer star. Lucifer, son of the morning, I'm gonna chase you out of here. I love that joke. Kaya is dead gum genius, okay? But let's talk about Lucifer, because she the devil, okay? And we're gonna take the mysticism out of Lucifer for once and for all, because Lucifer, we give him a lot of credit. But I want to talk about what these words actually mean without a personification on it, so we don't make it spooky, right? Let's look at this word, Lucifer, or Luke C. Far, right? Now we're talking about beauty because Venus is the beautiful Aphrodite, right? It's a thing of beauty, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So it's like, come look, see, right? That's one of the first things that happens when you see somebody in a bad outfit and you with your friends, girl, look at her, see, come here. When you find something that you really are attracted to, right? If you're looking for something at your home, right? And you're, shopping with baby, come look and see this, right? So you're talking about what you look and see. And then there comes a decision to make, which is the other aspect of Venus, right? After you look and see, which is that kind of Taurus representation of it, the far would be Libra, right? Because now we got to decide on how far we take this thing that we're looking and seeing, right? Thus kind of spotlighting our desire, right? Desire is driven by what we're attracted to, what we romance over, what we're passionate about, all Venetian things, okay? And then once we have this mindset of, okay, I've identified what I, Mars is, around too, right? Venus and Mars are never too far from each other, right? So, because identity is more like a first house aspect, right? But let's say something has appeared, right? And you go straight to Venus, right? This is what I love about it, or this is what I hate about it, right? Or let's say somebody comes up with an idea for something. I love that, right? It just represents that materialization aspect of like, I can see this happening. Okay, you said that? Cool. I can actually see this being a thing, right? That's what Venus is here to help us experience and celebrate, right? Venus also, because it rules the second house and the seventh house, 2 and 7 make 9. So Venus is in its energy of Big Daddy Jupiter, right? The ninth house, which is all about experience, right? But this particular discipline of this planet, or how we plan it, is just asking us the things that you look in and that you're seeing and that you are romancing over, right? How far can you take it? Well, it's about the materialization side of Venus, which is Taurus. We got a chance to go into Taurus season in the springtime, right? And we're constantly experiencing Venus's energy. So we're constantly in this state of finding beauty. Beauty equates value. Mm-hmm. Venus first is a money house. Okay. Now it's not per se as focused on the money here in Libra. It's about the decisions made. But valuable things that we find security in, things that we have acquired because of their beauty, things that we want to possess because it's so beautiful. We want to secure it, right? So that's all those things help to support the value, right? Later on, we've got to make decisions about it, right? How close can I get myself to that valuable thing? Hopefully we go all the way, right? But sometimes, and this is the tricky thing about Lucifer, you don't want to like get lost in a desire. You don't want to schmeagle it, right? We saw what happened to him. He was so enthralled over possessing. Taurus is very possessive energy, right? Venus has a possessive side to it. So very, fixated on I've got to have this, so to the point that all his decisions after that were just to get him close, right? So now we can see why Lucifer might show up in the Bible as a personification of a beautiful angel. Love the arts, love beautiful things. Music's a very beautiful thing, right? To hear, oh my gosh, it's a great melody, right? Versus all the sounds you could hear, right? So Venus represents the beauty, right? Lucifer's there representing the beauty in the Bible. However, got a little jelly there. Thought you was doing too much, Lucifer. Okay, so he got kicked out of heaven. Right? Because the desires there were a little bit not on the good for the highest concern of all, right? And Lucifer can be that, right? So, but now this is about anything. It's nothing's inherently good or bad. It's just how you use it, right? But you can experience the very good side of Venus, right? The satisfaction that comes once you found something that you truly love and that you can go into partnership with, or you can find yourself on the terrible side of this, right? Where something that you once loved and found valuable, maybe someone or something found value in you, and now all of a sudden it's just tossed to the side, right? Just off a decision. This is one of those things too, where you may love a job, but just know that the terms and conditions of this are subject to change. That's what Venus is kind of reminding us of too. Let's look at this couple, Krishan. Well, once was couple. I still feel like they're a couple because of the kid, right? Let's look at Krishan Rock and Blueface, because right now, and I'm just on the baby came in Virgo season. Like in Virgo season, it was alright. The baby got here. It was more shout out to the Virgos. I'm a Virgo. That's to the Virgo babies, and he is a cute kid with an adorable cry. He got here then, and I just feel like as of lately approaching Libra season, all the things about their relationship have kind of been spotlighted on, right? So again, there are times when we're going to be very centered on relationships in our lives. It just is what it is. When you're happy to be centered in a relationship, oh my gosh, it's bliss. When you got things going on, it's like, well, damn, this nigga on my nerves. So, but let's go back to their relationship, right? Because one of the things about love, there are so many songs about love. It's a word that comes and goes. But few people really know what it means to truly love somebody, and we have to talk about that. I wouldn't be giving you practical astrology if I didn't because I can't fluff it. I can't fluff around. Don't fluff around with some of these concepts, right? Because you can find yourself into a predicament based off thinking something was what it ain't, okay? Venus is not all good on appearances, okay? Now, Mars is. Mars is good at not understanding what things appear and the motivations of it, right? That's what Mars does, right? Venus is just about the desire to have it and relate to it, have a proximity to it, right? So when someone tells you that they love you, it's like, cool, I want you around. Cool, I like spending time with you. I want to get booed up, right? Booed up is cool. I might even spend some money on this, right? All things that kind of feel like security, right? But don't let Lucifer trick you, because what was valuable at first anything can tip the scales. That's what Libra's saying, right? Libra's not a deep energy. I know I got a Libra moon. Shout out to the Libras, but sometimes we get like a little superficialness kind of attributed to aspects of our personality, right? Because it's about the social grace. It's about the harmony that you can find based off the things and attraction that you have with something or someone, right? And then coming together with that. That's harmony, right? But what happens when love, which is the kind of like us measuring that, turns to hate? What was harmonious is now harmful. So that's a double the pilot man. He be catching them words too. So what was once can always change. It is subject to change. Libra is the initiator. Like, you can still be fixated on what you value all day, right? I love you, but I love you. But baby, this is subject to change. Okay, I may decide to take my loving elsewhere. I may decide to take my money to somebody else, right? All things that Venus is all about. Okay, so this devil is a little mischievous, right? So yeah, don't get weirded out. I mean, you can get weirded out because, Doja Cat do look like an evil devil, right? But she's just kind of representing the demon qualities of all of our personalities or personas, right? Like the Italian job. It's not the devil that I don't trust. It's the devil in people, right? Or I'm kind of paraphrasing. But we all kind of have this devil. We all got a little schmeagle in us. Sometimes, quiet as it's kept, judgments have to come up as well. Because that's the other aspect of Libra, right? It's not just about the decisions, right? Like, the judge has to make a decision, right? But who's making the decision? The judge. So there are judgments also when it comes to love, right? So what once was valuable, when once was love, when once was, I want to, I find security in this, I want to possess it, grab you by the waist and stuff like that. Come here, girl. Can also turn into, I've judged it, I've had it, been there, done that. Deuces. Because again, Libra is not that deep, okay? So I just feel like sometimes when it comes to what is love, which is a great time for us to all be looking at that, right? Because I feel like humanity also needs to revisit what they expect from love and what they think love is, okay? Venus, Lucifer, the Lucifer star of the morning. In the astronomy too, let's look at this, right? Venus is the only star that you can see visibly at times in the horizon, right? When the sun begins to rise. So as the sun begins to rise, you can still sometimes see this star. While all the other stars, they fade, okay? So beauty stands out, right? That's one thing about beauty. Beauty definitely stands out, right? That's what Venus represents. Venus, though, because it's a morning star, it also reminds us that beauty does fade. Okay, because by the time noon hits, you can't see the star anymore, right? It's the morning star. But yes, this is like a morning star, right? So yeah, again, noontime, you won't see that, right? So beauty does fade, ladies. Don't think that love is a pillar like the fourth house, like foundations, like public status, right? I mean, love can experience that, right? You can experience a foundation with someone you love, right? But you can also experience a shaky foundation with someone you love, right? So love is experiencing it, but it's not that. So sometimes in our mind, I feel like because we love something so much, and it's easy for love to feel like foundation. And I just want to bring out the fourth house real quick because I feel like this is the one that gets people the most caught up, right? Because, I think I love you. Perfect, right? Couldn't we be here happily ever after? We could, right? Happily ever after, like you're forever, right? I feel like the fourth house kind of gives more of that forever thing because it's your lineage, right? The opposite of the fourth house would be the 10th house, how things show up in the world, right? What you're known for, legacies, okay? So love can lead to legacies, right? But love can sometimes just lead to the damn bedroom boom. And that's it. Love can lead you to a good bag, right? Oh my gosh, she loves my company, honey. You know, he just gave me his black card. Love can definitely be that, right? Love is a lot of things, but love is not necessarily per se like a stabilized pillar. Love isn't always going to be something that is like rock solid. It can be subject to change. I'm just being honest. TTV would not, your TT would not be right if I led you on fluff. Okay, so I get the fluff. I get why we want to make it so many things that it's not, right? Love is your proximity towards the things that you find valuable. And although value is pretty fixed in its state, right? That think about this too. Beauties often get used for their beautiful nature, right? Because it's beautiful, people want a piece of it. Oh yeah, come here, girl, right? And what happens with something valuable if you constantly use it? If you can never find a way to regenerate it, right? Because love isn't about regenerative energy. It's just about what's valuable. Okay? You got to learn how to rejuvenate things. Shout out to Mercury, right? You may have to learn how to expand on something, right? Love isn't that. Love is just the value of it and your measurement to it. Do you see what I'm saying? I really hope. I hate to feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but it's obvious, and it's been obvious in my own life, honey. I ain't above shit. I've loved some things that when it was time for me to let it go, it was hard. Okay, love can be hard letting go too. So you do have to be careful with this, right? And I'm gonna say this. Talk about the Aries full moon. Okay, now we talked about the love of it all, right? Now we get to reflect on our motivations. And I really feel like that's what's happening too with Blueface and Krishan. They're kind of forced to reflect on what's motivating them or what was motivating it to begin with, right? And Blueface is a Cancer, right? So by way of his actions, he gives foundational family. You know what I'm saying? Although I know a lot of people dragging him and stuff like that. Krishan coming from the Pisces perspective, right? She sees how things can come out overall in the end. I think she's kind of focused. I think Krishan sees the end of something right at the beginning too. That's the thing about Pisces, is kind of tricky. That's how most things are, right? Although you got to go through the process of something, you can see what it can be like in the end. Pisces, Poseidon, the god of the seas, right? Seeing it in the end. So, SEE, though, not the SEA, but the seeing it in the end. And I feel like that's what she did, right? I felt like she kind of had the opportunity for the show, fell in love, okay, got hit with Venus, all right? And Venus and Pisces actually aren't bad together. They're really not, because again, it's like sexy type energy, right? It's that sextile. So when they intersect, when love intersects with endings, oh, it's like my happily ever after. I felt like she really saw that in the end, but I feel like with the motivation of Mars coming in, she's got to really decide like what's driving that, right? Was the drive the money that y'all made together? Was the drive the status that y'all had as like a showman's, right? Was the drive really like this nigga really loved me? And that's for those people to kind of come together and decide, honey. Now, I ain't got no crystal ball. Okay? I don't I don't control beings. And that's another thing that we gotta learn too in life. This isn't about controlling other people as much as it is about us setting up the lives that we want to build ourselves with the people we want along the way. And I do feel like it's a time for a lot of us, especially with the North and South nodes here, to decide on individually, from my own unique perspective individually, right? Who do I want to deal with along ways? And I can appreciate this time for that. Okay, so shout out to the harvest moon, shout out to Libra season, shout out to Mars in the building. And like I said, Venus and Mars, right? Women, they say, are from Venus because it drives the emotions, and men are from Mars. It's what motivates us, right, to go after it, right? So let's get the balance on both our divine feminine and masculine principle during this time. Let's look at the energies for what it is and not try to make love something that it ain't, okay? And then hopefully we can have the balance of experiencing whatever proximity we can get to the things that we love, and enjoy it, right? Because overall, Venus, again, is trying to alchemize to help us have the experiences that we desire. And that's it, y'all. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope this was offered some type of benefit and entertainment as well. I love y'all. Until the next time, y'all take care. Bye.